Lunacy by Joe Fiore. It's madness.
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. Today is Interview Friday, and the music is super loud, and we're super energized for the weekend. I wanted to just mention this at the top of the show. I have this great friend, Dean Lewis, who was on the show a few months back. Wonderful comedian and also comedy teacher. He's doing a joke writing workshop. This is really cool. Costs $199, and every day you get a different style of joke. And then you write 3 jokes. You send it back to Dean. You send it back to Dean, and Dean critiques it and helps you write the joke better. And it's just a really good way to be writing jokes every day. And then on Saturday or one day a week, you get together on Zoom with all the other people in the workshop, and you tell your jokes, talk about them. He gives you his pearls of wisdom. He's out of Fort Worth, Texas, and super cool guy. There it is. You just email him, dean@deanlewiscomedy.com to jump in. Starts March 12th, goes for 30 days, and you end up with, 90 jokes? 90 jokes. So pretty cool. You can integrate them into your act. I found it to be really good. I've been doing it for, maybe 4 months straight. Got millions of gags and jokes and use them in my act, and it's super worth it. So let's get into this thing. Lunch Therapy interview. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 All right, I want to say thank you to all the Patreons out there. This is how you do independent media these days. This is how it's done. You have to fund it in some way. On Tuesdays, we give away money on this show. We give $15 to the winner of the trivia contest. If there's no sole winner, it goes on to the next week, and then it becomes $30, $45, and after that, I can't do the math. But check it out. Tuesdays, you can win money on this show. And a lot of the reason we can give away money is because we're giving away Patreon money. Thank you to all the Patreons. Really appreciate your support. There they are down below. Neil Phillips, Seth Word, Jason Edelman, Daniel Muchler. Daniel Muchler is a trivia god, by the way. Mary Marks, all the Lopezes. Thank you so much for contributing to the show. We're on a train ride. We're going to do some breathing here before we get into the interview. Today, we've got Chris Walsh, who's amazingly hilarious comedian. There's Jason Edelman. That's him. He's one of the Patreons. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for being here. This is a live show, so you can comment whenever, if you happen to be watching it live, which is at noon on Fridays. And that's what's happening right now. Hi, Jason. There's Kamala. There's Elizabeth Croydon. Woot, woot. I don't know if you all know each other. Chris Walsh, Elizabeth Croydon. She's a hilarious, spontaneous, bizarre comedian, just like Chris is. And she's out of the D.C. area. Oh, I hear Chris. He's in the green room.
I feel like I've definitely heard her name. I feel like we must have met.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. You're in the green room with Boney. Boney is trying to give him a bong, and I'm like, come on, Boney. Boney is my sidekick. He's a skeleton. Always preps the guest in the green room, and sometimes...
Yeah, he's my twin.
He is your twin. He's about the same height, isn't he? What are you, 6'2"? 6'2"?
Yeah, same weight.
Same weight, too, yeah. Hello from Capitol Hill, Elizabeth. Hello, everybody. Jason Edelman. Hi, Chris.
Hey, what's up?
All right, cool. We're getting rolling. We're rolling today. Believe nothing, judge everything. Hi, Boney. Boney is high. He's totally high. something we do every show. This show's been running for, I don't know, 6 years, something like that. Zamboni, like at the ice skating rink. Howard's here. Hello, Howard. Howard Ronan, hilarious comedian, was working the winery last weekend while we were at the staged reading. Holy, Howie. On this show, we say holy. We don't say hi. We say holy. Unless you say hi like Boney's getting high. I don't think Boney's getting holy. That'd be weird. Although, I don't know. Maybe it's good to get holy. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. This show's been running for 6 years, yeah. And it's kind of developed its own language, its own culture. We call ourselves the Hummingbirds. I'd love to have you come by anytime. Pinhead's 2244. Tuesdays and Fridays like clockwork at noon. Behind me is Healing Vibrations. That's Travis Schumacher making out with his cat Perseus. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. My sound bowls bring all the cats to the yard. My cats are better than yours. Isn't that the song that you're talking? My milkshake brings all the cats to the yard. This is good. I tried. It's improv for you. Improvisational singing. Anybody know that song? Travis is a pussy magnet. He is. He really is. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth's been on this show multiple times. She is a riot. Sometimes when she's on the show, the internet breaks, and we have to just do it live in the street. We just have to move out to the street and start doing it there. My meow shake my fella. No, I'm not singing that song anymore. I'm not doing that. Humans being. All right, so here we go. It's Interview Friday. We're getting into this thing here. Feel free to comment, ask questions, disrupt the conversation as much as possible. Chris is a disruptor of the comedy scene. He grew up in Charlestown, Massachusetts, or the town as they call it. Started doing stand-up around Boston, working with his brother David as the Walsh Brothers, the famous Walsh Brothers. They did stand-up, sketch, videos. They won numerous Best of Boston awards. They were chosen to perform at the HBO U.S. Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen, Colorado. Upon their return home from the festival, the brothers were honored by the Boston City Council as hilarious sons of Boston. They did a show called The Great and Secret Comedy Show, which started as a cult live comedy show in Cambridge, Massachusetts, known for its unpredictable mix of stand-up sketch, absurd characters. The show became a staple of the Boston alternative comedy scene before evolving into a Comedy Central digital series featuring their comedic style, The Great and Secret Comedy Show. In 2014, he performed as an animated monkey in the Annie Award-nominated pilot Back to Backspace for the Cartoon Network, and he also wrote for the Netflix animated series Hello Ninja. Chris also appears in this indie film called 4th of July, directed by Louis C.K. and written by Louis C.K. and Joe List, which I highly recommend. Chris plays this Uncle Mark, pivotal character in the movie, and it's a riveting family drama about a guy who's recently sober, a musician recently sober, who goes back to his family's 4th of July alcoholic extravaganza, and he's recently sober, and it's a wild ride. Chris is a regular at the world-famous Comedy Store here in Los Angeles and can be seen doing stand-up in comedy clubs all over Los Angeles, but around the country. Last weekend, I saw Chris's outstanding work in a staged reading of Jeff Gattel's play, The Only Girl Who Likes Frank Zappa, alongside my wife, Kamala Lopez, who also directed it, and Liesl Hansen and Trista Robinson. So that was super cool. And so now I've got him on the show. Let's see what some folks said here. Elizabeth says she enjoys watching this show the most. This is one of the greatest shows on the internet. It's one of the internet secrets. And she's always super fun on the show. She causes riots. She's a riot ringleader. also very political. Elizabeth is really talking about Elizabeth here a lot. Go Walsh Brothers, Beantown. Hello, Ninja. Got to see that. All right, let's get into this thing. This is called Interview Friday, Lunch Therapy.
A few couples, if you play this game, where it's who's the killer gonna kill first. It's always me, because I have to sleep right next to the door. I have to, whatever, if we're in a hotel, I'm in the lobby. Like, wherever we sleep, if we move into a new place, she's like, the door is there, you're on this side, I'm on this side. Like, I'm a speed bump for the killer. While he's killing me, she goes out a window, or I don't know what the logic is. Like the killer's just gonna come in his fucking Jason Voorhees mask and watch us sleep and go, well, he's closest to the door. That makes total logical sense, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Walsh. Welcome to Lunch Therapy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh
I
my
appreciate
God.
it. I'm honored. That was very nice. It was so nice. You make me look so good.
Oh, well, you are good. I've been having such a great time this week, just delving into all the crazy comedy that you've been doing over the years. It's just it's a blast. It's an absolute blast.
Thank you. Thanks for watching all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, now it has 2 views.
No, that's behind me is
kid.
the watermelon head.
I don't know if it's not exact. That picture is a good representation of what I used to do with watermelon head, but that is not me. I just wanted that to be.
Yeah, that is not you. It's pretty good though. It's pretty good.
It is. It looks like me.
I made it using artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. All right.
What I did is I made a pumpkin head guy, and then it's crazy what you can do these days. I told Photoshop, I said, put a mouth on there. I didn't even say, I said, put a mouth with a red beard, and they put one that looks a lot like you. It looks exactly
like,
yes.
It does. It really
It's like
does.
they knew what I was talking about. They're like, oh, Chris's mouth? Okay, we'll put that on.
Indeed. And just to answer Elizabeth's question, I am not the cop in Comedy Store's culture court.
Oh,
I look like a lot of people. I get that. My whole life, people are like, "Hey, aren't you, so-and-so?" I'm like, "No."
Well, there's a lot of Walshes in comedy, right? It's a kind of a Walsh.
There are quite a few.
There are, right?
Yeah. I think it was like Brendan Walsh, who started in Austin, who's a very funny guy and a hilarious writer and has his own great podcast. When we first moved to LA, we had a show at the Improv, my brother and I.
Oh, wow.
And people would reach out to him to get booked on our show. And he's he's like a prankster.
Oh,
and
no.
He would ask them to write like 100 words on why they should be on our show.
He'd put them to work.
And it wasn't. Yeah, pretty much. And he's hilarious. Yeah, check him out.
That's cool. And then there's Matt Walsh, who founded UCB or whatever.
Yeah, UCB guy, very funny, great actor.
Are you all related?
Somewhere way back when. I mean, I imagine back in the old, the old Irish days, our family is connected maybe somehow, but no, not like officially, I guess.
Yeah. Are you? So you grew up in the Boston area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's a kind of a breeding ground for a lot of comedians, isn't it? I mean,
it's I would say a rich history of stand up out there, and the Ding Ho. There's a great documentary called When Stand Up Stood Out that gives you like a kind of a good, like a great sort of history of the Boston comedy scene. I recommend it. It's really good.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I forget the guy's. It might be Stan Almeida. I forget. I met him once at the Improv, but it's When Stand Up Stood Out. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Boney can get a poster.
Take a look.
Can you get a poster? No, he can't.
Yeah.
He's too high.
We'll see.
He's falling over.
Yeah. If his fingers are working.
Yeah.
He can.
No, it doesn't look like he's gonna do it. Whoa, wait. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. When Stand Up Stood Out. It's kind of minuscule.
Fran Alameda, is that his name?
Bobcat Goldthwait, Paula Poundstone.
Yeah.
Colin Quinn,
My buddy,
Janeane
actually, a
Garofalo?
bunch of people from the movie that I was in would be in that as well. Tony V, I imagine, and it's been a while since
yeah.
I've seen it. I probably watched it about 10 years ago, but highly recommend. It's a great watch about they talk about the old Ding Ho and like the Comedy Connection and Nick's Comedy Stop. I am happy when I look back at my days in Boston to have even just by virtue of growing up in that city to be connected with that history and that culture of Boston comedy. I feel very lucky.
Yeah. It's also the accent kind of lends itself to comedy somehow.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe that, but
Yes, it very much does. If you were talking to my mother, I called her this morning. It's like listening to someone's routine, the way she talks, such a thick accent. I find myself falling into it while I talk to her on the phone. I'm like, what am I doing here?
yeah, well, it's good to have. It's a good thing to have in your back pocket for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you did you always know you want to be a comedian?
Yeah, I mean, from you were mentioning this a little off earlier, but from the time I think I was like 3. I mean, it sounds sometimes in your life you tell these stories, they sound made up.
Yeah, and you start to wonder if they are. You're like, maybe I didn't make it.
Whether you believe it yourself, you're like, I don't know if I trust my memory on
quite
this.
work.
Yeah. Now I'm getting so old, and I've been getting high with Boney, so I don't know if it's.
Who knows?
But when I was a kid, I was a little maniac. I was like a crazy little kid, and I always kind of wanted to entertain. But I remembered one specific instance I kind of tie it all to. I think I was about 3. At the oldest, I was probably 5. And they had this every year in my town. They had this parade. It was celebrating the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Everybody has those parades.
Yeah, right. Everybody has some
has those
version
parades.
of that, right?
Yeah.
Fighting the British.
Yeah.
In our case, we celebrated a battle that we lost. We won the war, but we celebrated the battle that we lost every year.
Great.
Well, we kind of knew that we could win, but we lost that one. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes.
Is that from
everyone
that?
kind of knows that.
From that
Yeah.
Bunker Hill.
Prescott. But on this particular day, it was the 17th of June. It would always fall, I think, on like a Sunday, and we would have these barbecues and stuff. And I remember being a little kid, and I was following my sister and my cousins around, and we were kind of getting into mischief. And I remember they were in my aunt's car. It was like a little shit box, it was like a little Fiat or something that was like on a little hill. And they went into the car and they were playing, whatever with the steering wheel. And then when they left, I was like, I want to drive. I want to sit in this car and kind of treat it like a spaceship.
Yeah.
And I hit the e-brake, I guess, and I put the e-brake down, and then I basically was driving because the car, back then, if you put the e-brake down, it's just going to roll down the hill.
It's just going to roll. It's like a...
Yeah, and I had my foot kind of against the door, like hanging out the door. I think I was trying to like jump out as it rolled down this little hill. It wasn't like a huge hill, but I rolled onto Medford Street in Charlestown, and when I rolled down, I basically caused a car accident. And when I hit this truck, the way I remember it is I kind of ran into the guy and the door shut on my ankle. And I closed the door, and it was like a telephone truck. And this worker was like, what the hell? Like, this kid just basically crashed into me. This 3-year-old child driving this, crappy
crazy.
Car.
Yeah. 3 years
Yeah.
old.
And that was the type of mischief I would get into at that age.
Yeah.
And he kind of picked me up, and he was like, where are you coming from? Like, where'd you come from? And I pointed up the hill, it was like 2 doors up. And he carries me up there, and this party is raging. And I imagine all the like parents are all drunk. The kids are probably drunk too.
Yeah.
And he holds me in front of the door, and I'm like crying. And then somebody's like, "Oh, that's Winnie's kid. That's Christopher." And so they rushed me to the hospital, the ER, for having caused this, whatever pile up.
Yeah.
And it was something that like took all night. I remember, when I finally got home we were at my aunt's, but when we got to my house, there were people waiting to see how I was. Cause back then it was like, somebody might've made a phone call. This was like, the early 80s, late 70s ish. I'm a lot older than I look. And I walked in, and I remember walking in and all these adults just staring at me and being really tense. And like, it was this moment where there was a lot of tension. and I had this cast on my foot that was like, I realized I could like move around and spin and do things. And so I did a Michael Jackson, like,
On the cast?
360. I kind of like spun as much as I could on the cast. And when I stopped, I like kicked my foot up and did like a Michael Jackson, hee hee.
My God.
And everyone started laughing.
Yeah.
And I think in that instance, I just remembered being like at 3, being like, wow, the power of humor to diffuse this situation, to take this like crazy moment where I stole a car, crashed it, was taken to the ER, was there all day, ruined a full, Bunker Hill Day guy, and then walked into the house at like, it was after dark at like, whatever time, 10 p.m. with a cast on my foot. Everyone's concerned. And I brought the house down, and I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So after that, it was like game over on school and everything else. I just, I would like basically roll through dog shit to get a laugh. I had, as my dad said, I had no dignity. I was
Your
just
dad
trying
said
to
you
get
had no
laughs.
dignity?
Yeah. He was, my
helps.
dad, he was a great person. He worked really hard, but he was like old school. And the things that I did to get a laugh were just like from a different world, than him. And I was basically a clown the rest of my life. And I didn't care. I just wanted people to laugh and, make people happy.
Were you and your brother both that way, or were like each other's audience?
Yeah. We were. I mean, I'd say my whole family was funny, and everyone had a good sense of humor. I think it's like that, particularly in the Northeast, but definitely the Irish Catholic thing. It's like cold, and it's like everyone's kind of ragging on each other, and that's just kind of the culture there. It's like busting each other up, and it's like there's a real rich sense of humor in that community, I think, because things can be, I don't know, otherwise pretty harsh, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
when
maybe
things
that's where
are
it all
hard,
comes
it's like
from.
that's when the comedy is most valuable.
Yeah.
But sometimes as a comedian, it's most difficult to go there.
Yeah.
When you're in a
Yeah.
situation that's very difficult. But it's,
Yeah, I think it was like, it was definitely blue collar, and it's like these days it's changed a lot. But growing up, I would say, it was like, it's weird to sort of say this, but it felt like another. I mean, it was another time. I mean, it was now 40 years ago growing up there, but like to look back, it just felt like it was even way earlier. It felt like I grew up like 150 years ago. It's like waking up at whatever time, 5 a.m. I was an altar boy. It's like I talk about like getting punched by priests, and not me, but like I've seen it happen. It's like very physically violent,
by
even the adults.
priests.
Yeah. My old joke was I one time I took karate when I was a kid, and I learned karate from a priest, and it's a little hacky, but it's like I learned karate from the priest so I could defend myself from the nuns. And that's kind of how it feels sometimes. You
Yeah.
get like beat up or put in a closet, or they pull your hair or whatever. It's like pretty wild.
Now you kind of are. You also, like you said, that you don't have any no dignity. That was what you said.
Well, yeah, that was my dad's words.
Your
but
dad
yes.
said that.
But I got it.
Do you have dignity? I mean, just as a person walking around, do you find, okay, so you did a lot of, I'm going to play the watermelon man clip
Sure.
here for a second,
Yeah.
and then we'll get on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Wants watermelon? It's one of the 5 basic food groups. Come on, have some of my brain.
That's a temptation.
Ah, would you like some watermelon? Sure. Good. You were in my dream last night. Oh. Eat it, eat it. Oh, metal.
Watermelon. Bueno,
Ah, good. Oh, good.
Hilarious. So do you find yourself, do you have to do something, some kind of change in your behavior to get out there and do something so bizarre on the streets of Los Angeles?
Yeah, that was I mean, that was interesting because, we went to Comedy Central, which feels like it's now defunct other than, The Daily Show and maybe a couple one or, South Park or so. I don't even know if that's still on there, but we pitched them a bunch of ideas in like a boardroom, and I had like a notebook. I mean, I just had like all this stuff that we hadn't, it was on the cusp of shooting things yourself, but we were still pitching.
Yeah.
And we never thought we'd like go in there and they would be like, yeah, great. And I just kept talking. I was like, I have this idea, and I had to like kind of act out some of it and like and then they were like, all right, all right, all right. They were like, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah. They were like, how about we try and shoot as much of it as we can?
Really?
Yeah. And I had never had that experience. We had been living here a little while, and we had pitched to everybody. We had pitched scripted stuff. We had pitched, this was like a little bit almost non-scripted because it was just these ideas.
Yeah.
And then they like gave us some money and they gave us a team, and they were like, get out there and shoot it. And then the team, they were really good to us. Like the director, Matt Cloushy, who shot all that stuff. All my sort of friends now, one of the producers, Eric Abrams, who's incredible. All these guys, Cloushy and Abrams, and everyone who's involved in that they were very good about just giving us the freedom and saying, we want this to be the way you guys want it to be. But then we were faced with having pitched all these ideas. It was like, okay, so I'm going to hand people a boa constrictor. Yeah. And then I would wake up at, like there's another segment we do where it's called like similar to probably what you do on Tuesdays so it's called Street Games with Animals. And the idea was we would ask people really simple questions that are easy to answer, like, hey, what's your name? And then they go, Joel, and then you hand them a bearded dragon.
Oh my God.
And once they take hold of this animal, we just sprint down the street.
Yeah.
Like run away, like this is your animal now, you take care. Well, I thought it was really funny. I had this idea where we would adopt a cat and like leave it in our friend's house. And then we decided to take it a little bit further by taking these animals. Like initially we wanted like a little goat or like things that are just insane that you would hand to somebody and then run down the street in Hollywood and then be like, you have to raise this goat now. And, of course off camera, you'd take it back, but, we're not trying to kill these animals, PETA. No, but I'd wake up at like 8 a.m. and I'd go, what do I have to do today? Yes. And I remember distinctively going, today's the day I have to handle snakes. And it was almost like Jackass. So I had done Watermelon Head, back to your question, live on comedy shows a bunch of times. And he was a bit of a fan favorite at our shows, but randomly approaching people in downtown LA with a watermelon on my head. And you can see like a lot of those people were just there. And then, in the shows, I was handing people, feeding them watermelon out of my hands. That's kind of like another thing.
I couldn't believe they were eating it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And some people were more game than others.
Yeah.
Of course. So, but it's like some of the stuff, it's like, let's see what we can get away with. And then I think what was fun was finding out that we could get away with even way more than we thought we would, because we have this other segment in that series about where we just go up and knock on, our parents were selling our house at the time.
Yeah.
And so we came up with this joke where we would just show up at people's houses, knock on their doors and say, hey, we used to live here. Can we come in and look around at our old bedroom and stuff?
And you just did this at a random house?
Yeah. And well, initially we were like, well, we're going to need someone we know, like a compatriot or like a whatever they call it, like where you have a plant and you show up. But our director, Matt Cloushy, he was like, well, why don't we go and try and get see if people slam the door in your face, because we need some like real, see what people do. Yeah. This was after we had shot a bunch of segments of like, I'm like, Joel, can I come to your house and you just act and we'll throw you a little bit of money or something, and you and Cam are like, show us around like we used to live there, and we make jokes and you improvise, right?
It's very
for like
funny.
An hour.
You're like, this is where we used to measure our penises.
Yeah. It goes blue often,
It's
but
funny.
but
You're
when
like,
we went
this
to
is
like
where it all happened. You're just in these saying these weird things. And they're like, what happened? This is my sister's room. And you're like, she's all like freaked out.
Some of it is a little over the top, I think. There's a segment with a little kid and, he was
You
we
have
had
little
releases
kids,
and
you have animals, and you have babies in these sketches.
Yeah, it's some of it is pretty wild. I look back and I'm like, oh my God. But we were trying to push some envelope, and we're also making fun of pranks, in some regard, in that we think prank shows are silly. So some of it, the prank is on us. But excuse me, with this stuff, when we went to we were like, we'll try Koreatown, and then we went and started knocking on doors, and we were shocked because people were letting us into their houses. Like people would open the door and be like, come in.
You think it's because you had cameras? It seems like cameras would deter people, actually.
Yes, and I think sometimes people are like, oh, this is like a legit thing, and or they want to be on camera or show off their house.
Maybe they thought they won something. I don't know.
Yeah. And, I think in some instances, you'd feel bad because there might have been some communication issues where we were like, I don't know, we're trying to be honest about what we're doing. And we weren't necessarily misleading people because you'd have a producer who had a release and stuff, you'd try and do that stuff. But I was just blown away by people going yeah, come on in. Let me show you my bedroom.
So wild.
It was pretty wild.
Do they sign a waiver or what do they do?
Yeah, we would get releases from people, obviously as whenever we could, and we'd have them on camera saying we were allowed to do it. We weren't trying to be misleading. It was clearly comedy sakes, and we didn't want anyone to look bad.
That people are in good hands, and I think that's the difference between things that are totally mean-spirited, where they're just making fun of people, and other things where you're basically improvising with the world.
Yeah, and I think with us, I don't think sometimes you worry things might come off a little strange, and looking back, I'm like, God, I can't believe I did that. I can't. And there were once or twice I do, naked. I was.
Oh my
really
God,
known.
you're walking around nude. Like you're Bigfoot or something.
Yeah, it's called the Naked Yeti.
The Naked Yeti. Walking around. So were you nude, or did you have a sock, or what?
I had I'm really proud of this. Comedy Central paid for what do you call it? Like a nude bathing suit or whatever. I mean, there's I forget the term for it, but it's it's escaping me, but it's like a merkin,
like a male merkin.
I had jumpsuits and things that a one piece, and then I had I would wear this. It was really funny because when we were shooting, I would basically be in this nude thong, and the producers or the director would be like, "This would be a great time to go get a Naked Yeti." So we'd be shooting a whole other segment. And I'd have to hide behind the bushes and take all my clothes off and walk between some fire
buses
trucks
or something,
yeah, and randomly they would go down the street and put on the longest lens they had, so it would be they were trying to capture this Naked Yeti in the wild. And then there was once or twice where I'm kids are walking by and I'm like, I can't go right now. And I couldn't have an earpiece or anything in to let them know. I'm gonna wait till the kids leave to step out, because I don't want it to be I don't want to be a full-on creep, but it is kind of creepy anyway. You know what I mean? We're going to go to the park to shoot Naked Yeti, or we're going to go up to Hollywood, and there's always people around. So you're trying to time it so, you're capturing the stuff, but it was pretty racy.
Do you think that comedians, I feel like this more and more being a comedian, is that you have to get into this kind of mischievous kind of attitude. Even before you go on to do, stand up or any kind of comedic thing, it's like a different kind of point of view that you have to get yourself into. How do you tend to do that? Yeah. How do you get into that?
Honestly, I think I lost it a little bit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I mean, with all that stuff, it was great to do, but it was really stressful because we were shooting for long hours. I mean, you know how production is.
Yeah.
And they would be like, all right, we have this permit to shoot for so many blocks in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And you'd be down there in the heat shooting
oh my God,
I don't know, 10 different segments. Also the Naked Yeti stuff, they would literally be shooting a segment. We did this walking tour, and the walking tour was all day. And I remember it was super hot, and you're in downtown LA shooting this thing. And then camera B would be like, all right, we're going to go down this alley and you're going to shoot Naked Yeti. And then we're going to get back to the walking tour and shoot this other part. Right. So we were shooting concurrently, segments within segments to because you only have, so obviously money is involved. Mm-hmm. And then I think after all that, I was when we were done, my brother moved, my brother had children, and I think we were both a little burnt out after doing live shows and film stuff and all this stuff. You can kind of really get crazy. He moved back to Boston, and I took a little break to try and get a little bit of the fire back, you know? And then the pandemic hit. I lost my dad. My dad passed in 2019.
Oh, no.
And I think, like, you know, it's interesting because we were doing that stuff and we were doing a lot of this filming in Boston. And I can remember when I was filming on like VHS, we would film this kind of crazy.
Oh my God, I got to play something real quick before.
Yeah. Go for it.
Keep that train of thought.
Yeah. Oh God.
The tanning room is now open.
You could have stayed in there longer, kid. I go out of my mind after 2 hours. Joey, is it noon already?
Happy hour!
My God.
Hey, ladies, just in time for happy hour. What? I thought you were sisters.
Oh my God. Okay, so explain what is this? Did you and your brother? Is this before you came to Los Angeles? When you were in Los
It
Angeles?
was right when we had moved here. Sony Crackle was a thing, and we pitched them
Sony
this.
Crackle.
Yeah, and like it was. I mean, this so long ago. It was like
Yeah.
right. It was around the time the Hilton sisters was a thing, and so what we pitched them was because they had connections that my brother and I would play the Ramada boys, who would be like, you know, the heirs to the Ramada Inn fortune.
Oh, they're like Paris Hilton type.
Yeah, and they were like the you know, the foils to
that's
the
great.
Hilton sisters. So
Yeah.
the idea was initially we would hang around with Howard Johnson III, who was a like close friend, and the La Quinta sisters,
Oh
and
my
we would
God.
all, you know, and we had cast all these parts, and the idea when we went to Sony was they would get us into premieres and stuff, and we would try and stir up shit to get actual like tension and sort of like a battle going with the Hilton sisters to get on their radar. So
Okay.
initially when we pitched that idea, they were like, oh, we have these premieres coming up, and they were going to get us like a limo to show up and like get us on guest lists for these big parties in Hollywood to try and get my brother David and I on the map to basically be like, who the fuck are the Ramada? I'm sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but
Yeah, you
the
can.
Ramada boys, and we would just show up to like Grauman's and be on the list as these,
Oh my God, yeah.
you know. And we had they had their dog Tinkerbell that she would take around, you know, Hilton would take around with her, and then we had a hamster that we would bring around, and the hamster's name was Captain Hook. And then we drove around
Tinkerbell.
LA and we shot, Tinkerbell and Captain Hook. So
that's
it was
great.
like we were deliberately going to be their foils.
Yeah.
And it was on the docket, and I think they got a little at the last minute. They got when we used to pitch stuff. It was funny to go into these kind of like boardrooms at, you know, wherever, Fox, Sony, HBO, whatever. People would be game, and then they would get cold feet as it got closer to like,
Yeah.
you know, it was maybe a little extreme or whatever, but it was closer to like, we wanted to be doing stuff that was closer to like Sacha Baron Cohen, kind of like Borat, where we were in character, in public. People were like, who are these people? And we would just show up. And even a show that we pitched was like a half hour where it would be all some softly scripted stuff where we would pull pranks in public, but it would have like a circular story where we started off and, you know, would have this full kind of like more of a narrative than the stuff that you saw, you know, or the stuff
I love
that
that they
you're
have
playing,
like
but it would
a
be
real concept.
Yeah.
They have a concept.
Yes. Yeah. Like a concept that would fit a half an hour. Yeah, for sure.
And did you develop a lot of these characters in Boston with your live show that you were doing?
Some of it we did. Some of the character stuff I would have, and then some of it came about just in the pitching process and moving to LA and seeing what would fit out here in the culture. You know, I think we were a little bit ahead of the curve. Like the Jersey Shore was a thing, and we were like, oh, we can do these Jersey Shore characters. You know, and you know, no shade on Nick Kroll. That he also had you know, he's great at that stuff. I would say he's better than we are doing the Jersey stuff because he's from out there.
Yeah.
But I remember UCB, like Nick Kroll kind of seeing me one night and being like, hey, I'm not stealing your thunder on this. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I mean, I know who you are. He was already doing that stuff in New York City, but we were kind of like in the same kind of wheelhouse as some of these guys, and we were pitching at the same time. I mean, he ended up having, you know, a whole show, the Nick Kroll show, that was amazing.
That
and
show.
like,
I love that he
but it
used to do Philly and Pittsburgh pawn shop. That was hilarious.
I mean, I don't even compare myself to that guy. I mean, I know I just did, but I think he's tremendous. And
well, you're all inspiring one another.
But it was at that time we were kind of in the same space and trying to inhabit that similar kind of like pitching characters and doing shows. Some of the stuff, you know, obviously the cream rises to the top. You know, Nick Kroll, shout out. But back then we were in those rooms pitching similar things, and it was just like, what came out, what can we do, what works, you know? And then some of it was just you do something live and you see where it takes you, and you know, see how wild it gets, I guess.
Yeah,
like Watermelon Head was one of those things. I
love the Watermelon Head.
Yeah. I was like, I walked by a Vaughn's or a Ralph's and I was like, hey, that watermelon's pretty big. I could probably fit that on my head.
It's a great idea. It's like a superhero.
Yeah.
It's like a superhero. Let's see this one.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Dextering.
Yeah.
So you're going around Dextering everything.
Yeah.
I'm the dark passenger now.
I love that part.
Why'd you text her Nana? She loved it. See? I can't help myself either.
You wouldn't happen to have like some keys on you?
Look at that. That's crazy. Was that just a random person, or was that a cast member?
Yeah, that person was just, we were shooting that and we needed someone and they happened to be walking by. I mean, but you know, it's like, you're like, hey, would you be interested in helping us out? You got to kind of walk them through it a little bit so they can stop in the right spot, I guess. But you know,
I love that.
Just have them sign a release, throw them a little bit of money. But they were just walking down the street and we were like, would you be willing to do this? You know,
that's hilarious. How did you get the stand-up going? Were you doing stand-up at the Comedy Store, or what? Because you have a whole stand-up career.
That started, it started as stand-up first. My brother and I both were solo stand-ups, and then it sort of became natural and we hosted together, and it was just so much fun. We were like, let's just do that, you know, let's host, you know,
have this whole life, like this whole other life, which is just doing shows in Los Angeles at various venues. We were talking about that last weekend. What was the process of you becoming a regular at the Comedy Store? Because people are always interested.
Oh, man. I mean, when we moved here, my brother and I, you know, we were a duo. We had performed at the store. A buddy of mine named, my good friend, Eric, I don't know if he's watching. I don't know if he's you know.
Sure he is.
He might be. Yeah.
Sure he's watching.
But he commented on your post earlier.
Oh, he did. See the one that said "Watermelon Head!" exclamation point.
Yeah. That's
like that.
He's like an old friend of ours. But Marino, our buddy Eric Marino, he's like, you know, I'd known him since Boston. He lived a short ways from the Comedy Store. He introduced us up there, and kind of we did like a friends and family spot when we came in, and we, you know, on like a potluck on a Monday or a Sunday or whatever it was, and then we killed it because at that point we were seasoned comics. I mean, we were doing, you know, 2-hour shows back home, like renting theaters, and I mean, the Great and Secret show was born out of a weekly show, and then there's Marino. Yeah, he's very funny. Lives in New York City now. Wrote for SNL. Super funny guy, Boston super sports fan. You know, always texting with him about the Sox guy and Patriots and all that stuff. But he had introduced us when we moved out here. We had seen him do, you know, he would come back and forth and back in Boston and do spots, and we'd put him on our shows. And then when we visited, People like him and Ron Lynch would get us spots when we moved, well, when we were pitching. So we didn't even move. We were out here pitching shows and stuff.
Ron was out
We
here,
were
right?
He was
he
living
doing
out
the
here.
Tomorrow Show at the time?
Ron's been Tomorrow, and then Ron put us on Tomorrow, back to the Comedy Store. We would go there every night. We would if we were performing at UCB, we had like one leg in the alternative comedy scene, and one leg in the sort of stand-up club scene. And in those days and ages in the early 2000s, people who got past the store at that time like to refer to it as the dark ages.
Why did they
pretty
refer
rough.
to that? Yeah.
It was an interesting time. I think a lot of that stuff with Rogan, where they, it was a guy that he was doing battle with. It was like Ari Shaffir it was like Team Rogan was like Ari Shaffir and those guys. They were going heavily after, I forget the guy who was like that joke thief. It's so funny, I forget names, but he was like stealing everyone's jokes, and he was stealing Ari Shaffir's act and all this stuff. And Carlos Mencia, that's what it was.
Yeah.
He was like, the Comedy Store had basically banned Joe Rogan for exposing Carlos Mencia, who had the mind of Mencia on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And then during that time, there was this other booker, this guy who kind of ran the place, he who shall not be named. And we were performing there. We would go there every night. And if we had a show anywhere else, even if we were like, outside of the city, we'd drive back and we would hang at the store. I felt like it was like 5 to 7 nights a week. And then eventually we got passed. And I met Mitzi Shore. Mitzi Shore saw us perform. I think we were one of the last acts that she saw live at the club. And met her, and she, was very complimentary and passed us. And we got, and then it was so funny. We got passed, and then we got no spots.
Really? Is that
yeah.
That's the hard part. It's like, it's hard to get past.
Yeah.
It's like a huge thing.
Yeah. They painted our name on the wall, and then we got
your name on the wall.
No more spots.
Oh, did you jump off
hilarious.
the Hilton or whatever next door?
Yeah. My brother did, and I caught him. Yeah, that's
Okay,
like
good.
famous story of that. I forget that guy's name who jumped off.
Something.
Sad.
Yeah, that's a sad tale.
He was trying to land on the Comedy Store, and he landed in like the garage or something. So brutal. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's
enough time has passed, and we don't know the guy. But
there are many nights I feel like jumping off that, whatever that is, the Ondas. Yeah,
absolutely. So you were. I saw the movie 4th of July, which is. Well, actually, I didn't finish
Thanks
it.
for
'Cause I was watching
it
in the middle of the night last night, and I have to go watch the end of it. But
oh my God.
I know. But I was like, because the thing about you, Chris, is you're very unassuming. And when you meet, you're a very, very nice guy.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You're not like a braggadocio. And so you're like
not where I come from.
A little bit of a mystery. So I started delving in, and every once in a while I'm like, oh my God, there's this other thing. Oh my God, there's this other thing.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you.
And so I found that 4th of July like last night, and I'm like, this is a movie directed by Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Written by your friend. What's
Joe
his name?
List.
Joe List. Thank you, Joe
He's
List.
one of my close,
who's
friends, yes.
also a very, very talented individual.
Oh my
like
God.
yourself.
I can't even begin to talk about Joe. He's tremendous as an individual and a talent. I mean, I run into people, and I won't even say anything about Joe, and they're just glowing. He's one of the best touring stand-ups out there. I mean, he's like changing the game. It's incredible.
And he's doing the thing. I mean, he wrote with Louis C.K. I don't know how this came about. Did they start writing this thing together, or did he write it and came to
Joe, Joe had been friends. He had, pre-pandemic, I forget the year exactly. This was maybe 10 years ago. He came across Louis' radar, pre-controversy, was in New York, and Joe is, works the Cellar, and he works all those clubs, and he's a headliner, and he's a killer, and he'd been, like you say about me, probably unassuming, and was just, I don't know, nationally incredible, and like was on a lot of stand-ups radars, and was kind of slowly blowing up, I think. And then Louis kind of came across him, and just, I think randomly he got a text or something. Louis wanted him to open up for him this like huge show where it was like, I don't know if Seinfeld was also going to be on the show, but Seinfeld was going to be there. And Joey was like, this is the biggest break of my career. You know, Joe had already toured with like Nick DiPaolo when he was younger. And I should say Joe was, when I met Joe, when he was still basically a teenager in Boston, he was an absolute beast. Like, it was clear when you met him that he was like a wonderkind, you know,
Really?
just like just like a one of a kind, kind of like off the top of his head, just quicker than everybody else. You know, there are these like guys, they're like Boston legends that, I mean, if I start naming them now, I'll never stop, of which Louis and Joe are both. And that, you know, Mark Maron started in Boston. It's like, you know, you could go on and on about
Bill
these
Burr,
people who
right?
are Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neill, who's since, you know, RIP. I mean, it goes on and on. It's like, you know, Janine Garofalo, you know, it's like, you know, it's never ending, right? You know, we'll have another podcast where I'll just read all the names
Just
of these
read
people.
the names, yeah.
But you know, people that I love, and I'm sure there's so many like that I'm, you know, Tony V, who's in the movie, Nick DiPaolo, but Joe had opened for Nick, and then he was, you know, doing very, very well for a long time, and then Louis found him in New York just randomly because he wanted someone who was new and he hadn't really worked with to open for him, and then Joe got some virus where it was, you know, I mean, I'm going to try and keep it clean because I've already sworn a few times, but Joe is basically coming out both ends. You know, he was in this like,
no.
yeah, and Joe's with his wife, who's also a tremendous stand-up, Sarah Tolomash,
Yeah, she's
who's
in the movie too. Yeah.
She's incredible and incredible actor. And so Joe was like, oh my God, this is the biggest opportunity of my life. It's like this.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah, Louis, who I think is still the greatest stand-up of all time, and Seinfeld, who is Seinfeld, and also one of Joe's absolute all-time favorites, Seinfeld. And then he could not perform the gig because he had this like neurovirus where he could not leave the hotel room and was like trying to get like IV to stay alive. And Louis was like, it's fine. And then they connected after that, and then Joe went on this like world tour and opened for Louis and like Europe and Germany, and then they became friends because, you know, if you meet Joe, I will say this beside his stand-up and how you can see how talented Joe is, just follow him on Instagram. But like, I obviously can't say enough about these guys, but like Joe being someone who's also the salt of the earth, one of the best people you'd ever meet, the most fun person you'll ever hang out with in your life. I'm lucky to call him a friend. But during the pandemic, I wasn't doing stand-up. I was delivering groceries for Yummy, which is this like grocery delivery service. And I remember being like, you know, feeling like I'm never going to perform again. I'm never going to do, you know, I'm not going to ever have an opportunity and my life is over. And I remember I was about to go and drop groceries off, and I had a face shield on, a mask on. It was like 2020 or 2021. And I remember I was about to go in the house, and Joe sent me this kind of longer text, and he was like, hey, Chris, I know this is random, but I've been writing this movie with Louis. I have this part where I want you to play my uncle. It's loosely based on my life, and I don't think there's anyone else who can play this part but you. And when I tell you, Joel, I had a breakdown in this Yummy delivery van. I'm in this like delivery uniform crying.
Because it's
Echo
a great
Park.
part too, and it's so suited to you, and you do such a great job. It's
but like even before all that, I was just like, I can't even believe this. This is unbelievable because Joe, and I also knew his uncle that it was based on.
You did.
So I practically grew up with these guys when we started doing stand-up together. We used to drink together.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so I'm sitting in the car, and I knew that he was like the one person in his life. You know, he had this person that was like, believed in Joe. Before Joe was anything. You know, like when you say uncle, it's like they were kind of almost the same age. It was a few years, but he's a fireman back in Massachusetts. Uncle Dale, shout out. And Joe was like, he was like the one person in my corner that was always like, you can make it, you can do this. And then when Joe and I met each other, I was kind of Joe's, you know, like ring, you know, like his cut man and his corner man or whatever you're saying. You can do this. You're amazing. You're the champ, you know. And I always felt that way about Joe. But to have someone that you idolize like Joe that was there for me and wrote this part and was thinking of me, you know how that is. I mean, you're an actor, and Cam and you guys, you know, you guys are aware. It's like when that 1,000,000-to-1 thing happens, I'm like, oh, I have to put everything I have into this. So what you saw in that movie was me. You know, I feel like as someone, you say humble, but it's like, you know, I do come from that blue collar place, and I have a degree from UMass Boston, which isn't the best, you know, it's like a lot of people might not, it's not like, you know, Yale or whatever, like some prestigious drama school or whatever. But I have a theater and English degree from UMass Boston, and I come from very humble beginnings, and I still feel that way. And I think like this to me was like the chance to prove it. And I knew I needed to have it all down cold so that when you watch that movie, you see that, essentially me crying in a delivery truck in Echo Park is like, that's all on screen. And I would hope that if someone sees that experience, it's like the preparation for that is also my sobriety, because it's about being sober. And that's someone playing a role of somebody who needs to probably be sober and figure it out, as well as their whatever issues they have. I put a lot into it, so I'm glad that
it really comes
resonated,
across. And I think everybody should see this movie.
Yeah.
It's available on various platforms. Just Google that's 4th of July. Louis C.K. directed it. And the cast is wonderful. The cast is so believable, and there's a lot
I can't say enough
group
about all
scenes.
the people that I worked with on that. I mean, everybody should be so lucky to have any work with, such talented and gracious and incredible people. I
Are
mean,
they
we
all
basically
comics,
lived
these
together.
people, or-
For the most part, yes. And actors. The parents were both actors in Boston theater.
The dad
And
was so believable and had
oh
so
my
much
God.
inner monologue going on in that just face. that
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it really blew me away, to be there on set and then to watch the finished product, and to be so lucky to have that opportunity. I mean, I
How
learned
long
a
was the
tremendous
shoot?
amount. It was quick, and
Yeah.
he shoots really fast. He's a genius, and it took, I think we were there for like 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
In upstate New York and Lake
Cal
George.
asks us if it's on Netflix.
Might be on Netflix. I don't know.
I got it on YouTube. I rented it, but you can also rent it in all the various Amazon, all those different places.
Amazon, yeah, it was on, and he does deals from time to time with various.
Probably you can get it on the
platforms.
Louis C.K. website. I mean,
You can do that too. Yeah, I think it's like a 5-year rental,
something like that.
which he does. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
which I did as well to see it.
Yeah, you did as well.
After.
Did you did they shot a lot of group scenes? What is that like with all these different people talking? Was it hard to like?
Yeah. We
maintain?
walked through it all. We took
Mm-hmm.
a day, and luckily it was all in the same, like they shot a bunch in New York, and I wasn't in the New York sequences where they
Yeah.
shot for a few days in New York with Joe and Sarah and some other stand-ups and people like that. And then when we were in upstate New York, it was all in Lake George. It was all the same, this one old kind of farmhouse
Place.
type of place. And we walked through it. We did like a blocking for a day, and everyone knew where they were supposed to be. So some of those sequences, it would be
Like you were
almost like
playing
a play.
volleyball in one of them.
Yeah.
One
So
of the major
you'd walk
sequences,
through
they're
it and
playing
have
volleyball through the whole thing.
Yeah, kind of have a quick rehearsal, and everyone would kind of know what they were supposed to say. And then Louis is like, it's like a dance. The camera's finding it all. And, I'd imagine it's closer to like something like Altman or whatever, where and you can see where the camera is, obviously. If they're shooting on the other side of the court, you kind of keep your mouth shut, and, and then they pan around, and when they're in your face, you kind of have something to say. And, it was interesting because it was all comics, so you could be a little brutal about some of the things you were saying. And I might have gone a little overboard at times. I felt a little bad because it's like some of the things you say, you think about because it's all like Boston and
Was there improvisation?
sort of
in
shitty
it?
people.
you
Yeah,
improv?
there was a decent amount. And I appreciated that Louis was like, just go for it. And he's
That
like,
takes
just
a lot
kinda-
too with actors, because I mean I did a whole movie that was improvised and it was really difficult. I didn't direct it or anything, but I was just in it. And there were a lot of professional actors in it, but it seems like the actors always feel like they need to talk. You know?
Yeah,
And
I
the
mean,
listening is really important.
I think I've done so much of that in our stand-up. It was very sketch and improv and very
Yeah. You're a pro.
there
at
was
it.
like this space to do a lot of different things. And I am one who I really like to try to do more with less. So if somebody's has me on their show and they're like, I just need you to do this 30-second bit. Like on Ron's show, I did this. One of my favorite things I ever did was I did this alligator, I called it the alligator soft shoe.
Yeah.
And so he does this show that's like Crapshoot. Shout out Crapshoot tomorrow, Ron Lynch at the
Oh,
Elysian.
yeah.
in
Ron's been on
LA.
the show too. We have an episode with him.
Yeah, and
really good.
amazing. I mean, Ron's
amazing guy.
There's no one else like Ron in the world, and
Yeah.
he works with Louis as well. But And the first crapshoot we did, it was just he has a top hat. You pull out sheets of paper. And I was like, I'm going to wear a tux. I'm going to put this big rubber alligator head on and alligator hands. And I had a cane. And I was just going to have like whenever someone pulls my name out of the top hat or it just says alligator soft shoe, I would be waiting just off stage. And they would play this like, putting on the Ritz, like with tap dance sounds underneath it. And I would come out and just do like a dun, 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 and I would do this like kind of thing. And then I would try and get off stage and it would look like people with cattle prods were keeping me on stage, but it was literally 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I waited, I think 2.5 to 3 hours. And it was the last thing pulled on the very first crapshoot. And I was just literally like this curtain behind me.
Yeah.
I was just off stage behind one of these
For the whole
with
time?
an alligator costume and a tux on, sweating my
The whole
ass
time?
off.
Oh my God.
I'm not even kidding. I was so annoyed. I was angry.
I'm sure.
I was like, but to do the bit, to like make the bit work, I was like, I have to do this. And I was just committed. And that's all part of it. So it was like literally they pulled it last and then I went out in 20 seconds. And I felt like people had done like 10-minute bits, 15-minute bits. I was mad at all of them. It's like, it's so funny. And then Davey did like, Davey always does these like 10 to 15-minute bits. And then, and so I was off and I'm like, friggin' Davey. And then, but killing, but it's taking forever.
Yeah.
And then I go on, I do 20 seconds and I was psyched afterwards. I was like, man, it really worked. And I think that's the key, right? Like when you do anything and you're acting and you're doing improv,
it's all worth it after you do it.
Yeah, it's like if
you're like, this is great.
Yeah, especially if you're on screen or you're on stage and it delivers and it lands, even if it's one line, I'm like, well, put it all in there. I mean, yes, I'd rather have a monologue or I'd rather do longer things, but sometimes a friend needs you to be like a drunk at a bar who says like, who pukes or, it's like, I always feel like if you put the effort into that one thing, then it, might lead to something else or at least it'll elevate what's needed,
And also we all need to be, there for one another and the creative because it's so hard to do it all by yourself. You can't. You can't do big things by yourself.
Yeah.
And so you need to be there go to other people's shows, do the small bits and things. I mean, it's really important. Really important.
We're going to Liesel's, who was in the show we did the other night, the staged reading. We're all going to Liesel's Hansen's
I wish
stage
I had a
reading
flyer for that.
Roadtheater.org. I think it's what's the name of it? Shoot. Now I'm looking at my phone. I want to promote this.
I know you're in seat F5.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, well, hey, don't let my assassin might come. Somebody will put a whoopee cushion on the seat. I'll be your villain at the Road Theater. So I just did this performance with Cam and
she says you're so inspiring, Chris. I feel so glad to have met you doing that.
Oh, likewise. I mean, afterwards, all the people that I invited were so happy to have gone, and what an experience of Jeff Gattel's new play, The Only Girl That Likes Frank Zappa.
Yep, The Only Girl That Likes Frank
last
Zappa.
weekend, but it was in Trista as well. It's like everyone that came was like blown away by the performances, and my cousin, who was one of the people that I guess like any opinion that she has to me is like the most important opinion that I hear. And she said that she felt like it was an actual, like it didn't feel like a staged reading. It felt like an actual
it felt really
play. Yeah. Like something
people.
she said that she was just blown away by everyone who was on stage and, every aspect of it. So
me too.
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. So it was great to have met you guys through this and all that. So hopefully more to come down the line.
Hopefully more to come. Do you think you want to do more acting, more stand-up? What are your
it's interesting. I think I feel the same way as a lot of stand-ups do. Weirdly, like when I act, I feel like I lose myself in some of these roles, and I feel like it's an opportunity. Like it's always something I really have wanted to do. I'm clueless about the business side of things. The only thing I can really do, what's that?
Join the club.
Yeah. It's like, I love acting. I would love to do it more. I think I
Yeah.
have a knack for it. Like and you know, a work ethic that really, with my stand up, it's interesting because with acting, there's a group of people that I feel like I don't want to let down. You know, like when I'm
Yeah.
face to face with somebody or the writer, you know, or the director, it's like I feel like I have a real chip on my shoulder in terms of like proving
Mhm.
proving it, you know, proving my abilities, or, you know, I'm always worried to, you know, I have a little bit of that, you know, what do they call it? The,
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome, where
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I can, you know, am I really, you know, you're just a stand up or whatever. You have these narratives in your head, but it
You have
makes me
to.
work
It's
a little bit.
not trusting them. If they have cast you in this thing, then you're the right person for
Yeah.
the part. They've decided that. So if you have imposter syndrome, you're basically invalidating their choice.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that's
but
just one way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, but the other way of looking at it to me is though it's the motivation aspect of it yes, but that's all part of that of going like I need to work really hard at this to make sure
It motivates you. Yeah.
You know, I want to put more work into it to like blow people away, you know, and really sort of feel like at the end of it I gave, you know, it's like leaving it all out there, you know. And with stand up I probably should take a page out of my actor book because I'm like, I've done this, you know, like
Yeah.
you know, there's no one up but me to disappoint.
Yeah, that's the thing is you're
Yeah.
just basically that's one of the benefits of being a stand-up. It's
Yeah.
you live or die up there.
Yeah.
not
So in
anybody
answer
else.
to your question, I want to
Yeah.
act a lot. But the only opportunity, like anytime I get an opportunity, I'm hoping it'll lead to another, I guess. But I don't really know how to get myself out there and pimp. I've had agents and managers.
Well,
and things.
first
I've
of all,
always
you got to
felt
get
like they didn't know
a
shit.
clip from that movie
Yeah.
somewhere where
Yeah.
people can see it. Because I was trying to
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
clip for this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't see it anywhere. And
I should
you're
get
so good at it,
permissions
and
from
it's
the big
such a-
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a great part for
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
that you know it'll bring more parts for sure,
Yeah.
sure. Because
Yeah.
you're so they're always like we're looking for real people and all this stuff.
Mhm.
You're so natural in it.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's so in the pocket for you. So in
Especially
your
coming from
wheelhouse.
you who knows
Thanks.
the business, you know?
That's me. I know the business.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've acted and you
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cam are in the know. It's like,
Thanks. No, I'm really impressed with your acting.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
It's really something.
I was also surrounded by people, you know, like I mentioned before, people
Mm-hmm.
who had the chops and, you know, even Louis and Joe and people like that. And I thank you, Cam. I'll put
Definitely.
it up on Actors Access and IMDb. I should probably get a permission from,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
if
Louis
you
and
if
Joe
you can,
or
that'd be
whoever.
good. I mean, obviously,
I'm sure they would be
you can.
fine with it,
Yeah.
but it's
just a
because it's
clip for your
promotion
reel.
for the film as well. But
Yeah.
like, you know, like in that instance, to be able to go to some of these people who like teach acting, like some of these guys are like real heavyweights in the Boston acting like theater scene,
Yeah,
and have them go, well, that's, you know, over lunch, sort of say, I got this big monologue coming up and I'm terrified. What should I do? And he's like, yeah, and he just would give me like his 2 cents, and I was already prepared, but I was also scared. So you know, you tend to talk to people when you don't have that. You know, and then there's the thing where it just turns on, right? Like where you're there and you're like, I'm just gonna do what feels right. And but to have the advice when you need it, and for somebody to go, no, just, you know, go with your gut, go with your instinct. It meant a lot, and it was really like, so it was a real having that group was just like with this production the other day with Cam and
Yeah.
Trista and Liesel. It's to know that you're with professionals and it's going to be fun, even if it's like, even if the scene is sad, it's going to be enjoyable to like
yeah.
throw the ball back and forth and kind of connect. And
A lot of
do
times
those
it's like
things.
tennis. You kind of rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
If you got a great partner that
Yeah.
you're playing or you're in
Yeah.
with.
So I've been very lucky in my opportunities that they make me look better in the way that they shoot things and stuff.
Well,
like
I
that
don't know.
too,
You
so.
do a real great job.
Mm.
You're obviously somebody that works hard. Callis says, I don't think you need permission to legally use the short portion for promotional.
Yeah,
purposes."
I will work
Probably
on that. No doubt.
Or, they'll tell you to take it down.
Yeah. The third thing is I'm pretty lazy. I need to do
No, I
that.
don't believe that for a second. I wanted to applaud your planking. I found this planking
Oh,
video.
wow. Yeah.
I've put my own music on it because
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to get
Yeah.
dinged.
Promotions, yeah.
But I want to show a little bit of your form
Yeah.
here. So this is around LA?
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's the Santa Monica Pier. Santa Monica Pier, yeah. My brother, David. David, yeah.
Are you in here too?
Good. I'm in there, yeah. It's a lot of David and I. I think I'm in the gray shirt. David's in the blue. Some of our friends.
It's really
That's
beautiful.
me.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, imagine all the
Oh,
germs we got.
Oh yeah. At least you survived.
Yeah.
There was a comment where
So
somebody
funny.
said, if you haven't died planking, you haven't planked.
Yeah, some of us are definitely dead.
Anyway,
Crazy.
it's awesome.
It's Anthony DeVries, yeah.
That was awesome. I just wanted to
Yeah,
say
we
I'm
brought
credited.
it to America.
I'm credited as the originator of planking. So
You
I'm
are?
giving you. Yeah, this is a real honor to have
Oh,
me tell
okay.
you how great your
Yeah.
planking is. My friend and I were kind of on Wikipedia as inventing planking. We used to call it face dancing,
Oh, okay.
and they made
Was
a little
that-
movie
was
about
that-
us.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
in
incredible.
Europe, somebody contacted us and they were like, "We hear
Yeah.
you started planking," so they made a movie about us, and then it played in a museum for like a month.
It all comes around, Joel.
It does, doesn't it? And then
Because
we were on a show, like I was on
Yeah.
To Tell the Truth as the originator
Yeah.
of planking, but no,
That's wild.
yeah,
See, we were clueless. My brother saw it that people were doing this in Europe. You know, it was
Yes.
in like New Zealand or not that I don't know if that's, but Australia or somewhere.
yeah,
And he was like, there's this trend that's happening. My brother, this is like, whatever it was, 2007 or 8. And he's like, they're doing this overseas. He's like, let's bring it here. He's like, I think this has a good chance to blow up. And we just went out. We got our friend to take a bunch of photos, still photos. And then he put them all together in that thing you
it's
just showed.
great.
and-
I mean, the thing is, we did this back in the 80s.
yeah.
And we did it at our high school and at
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school dances and all this stuff. And then my friend
Yeah.
went and did it in Europe. He did it in,
wow.
in Germany at the it was in Der Spiegel in Germany.
Yes. Yes.
And
I think I
then-
saw that.
Yeah. So then nothing happened for years, decades or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we saw all these people doing it everywhere. They're calling it planking. And people were
It
like
jumped the shark
contacting
really
us.
quick.
Yeah, it did.
It
People-
went from like honestly, in like a week, we didn't realize it was going to blow up that much. It's funny. This is one of those things I forget about
Yeah.
because it happened. It was like a flash in the pan. We saw, people in Europe. My brother saw it. He had the wherewithal to go, this is going to be huge. And he started, he brought it over and I guess brought it back
Yeah.
as you guys originated it. And then they had us, I swear that I was in Boston and I got a call from like KTLA. And then they went to my brother's house and put him on the news. You can find the segment of him
No way.
planking. Yeah,
Really?
but he refused to be on camera. He just laid down on this. There was this it's so funny. It's like the second story of his building.
Yeah.
And he was laying on the window ledge outside of his house with his face down, talking to this reporter, and they mic'd him.
That's
But he
hilarious.
never looked at the camera, and he just talked to her with
love
his
that.
face buried into like the second story of his window. And she's like, so how did this? And my brother's like, we never, like face down, like we never knew it would be this big.
Oh my
and,
God.
And it's
that's
crazy.
so
Like if you
great.
can see that segment, it's incredible. But like,
I want to see that.
and then it went, and then the next week or like within a month, it was like NBA players were doing it on boats, and we were like, it jumped the shark, it's over. And then people
Here's-
started doing all these other trends and things.
Here's me on To Tell the Truth.
Yeah, that's
planking.
awesome.
And it was funny because I did that show and they contacted me through Facebook and they were like,
Yeah.
we want you to do the show. And I thought it was like a prank.
Goodness, we're basically brothers.
Yeah, we are brothers in
This is
planking.
incredible. Twinsies, I guess you'd
Yeah.
say.
So,
Well, thank you. I mean, that brought us like a brief bit of notoriety.
yeah, right.
So thank you for
Sure, of
originating.
course. My pleasure. My
that
pleasure. No,
weird
but that was the
trend.
other thing is we were like, when we saw what people were doing and people like you guys, We were just
Yeah.
amazed at what people had, how people had taken it to like the next level,
Yeah.
literally to the next level. Apparently,
Yeah, we were like, what are the weirdest places we can do this where it looks a little bit Daredevil?
Yes.
When we started to do it, we were starting to like do a little bit of like, run into this mall and do it on like some machine or on a second story where it seems a little bit more, I don't know. It wasn't super scary, but like in and out on the sign, wherever it is. Yeah.
Here I am in Vilnius.
Oh, that's awesome.
Vilnius, Lithuania, doing it.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like that little guy there. Anyway, yeah, super fun. Yeah,
That's
then
incredible.
apparently somebody died planking on.
Oh my God. Well, not your fault.
That's the rumor.
Not our fault.
Not
Yeah.
our fault. They were like on a railing on a building, and they.
Yes, I believe that did happen. Yes, I
my
remember reading
God.
about that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like bad judgment on that person's part. But I was,
Yes.
as Sabina, my girlfriend, and I like to say, grace of God.
Grace of God.
I think they say that in the movie, in
Yeah.
Lou's movie. Grace of God.
Oh my God. Well, this has been great having you on. And
Yeah,
I
thank
look
you for
forward
having
to-
me. Thanks
to
for
what
letting
you'll
me
create
talk so
next.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wish you could talk more. But
Yeah, I would love it anytime.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, dance break time. At the end
Okay.
of the show, we like to just play a song. I'm playing the traditional dance break song by Michael J. Gonzalez. Well, it's a cover song. It's just a short little thing. Thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks everybody for being in the chat room. Pass this around because it's really fun and there's a lot of really great information for people out there. And let's get it going. Dance break.
We're gonna ride till we fall. They say we got no future at all. They wanna keep us out, can't hold us down anymore. Gonna ride till we fall.
When we hit the bottom, nothing's gonna stop us. Climb to the top with you. We could be the greatest ones who ever made it. Yeah, I could be talking you. They're trying to hate, but we won't change anything at all. Oh, we're gonna rise till we fall. They think we just dropouts, living at our mom's house. Parents must be so proud, they know it all. They don't speak our language, they say we're too savage. Yeah, no, we don't give up anymore.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We're gonna
Lunch therapy.
rise till we fall.
See y'all next week. Oh, yeah. We got to sing it.
Don't. I like to throw a little bass in.
That was good. I think it was really well needed. Maybe you can contact Michael and get yourself a role.